Welcome everybody back to Whiskey Words and Wisdom. I'm Kel. We have Don. What up, Don? We got Jenna.
What's up?
And we got my guy Sarge in the building today. What's up, Sarge?
Oh, no, just chilling. What's up with y'all?
Appreciate
y'all having me.
Hello.
Yes, we're gonna definitely have a good episode today. Sarge is my guy. We'll get a little bit into that in a minute, but you know what we do, man. Let's get down to the nitty gritty and find out how was the weekend, what's been going on. Don, let's start with you, bro. Mr. Fresh. You see, he got the fresh cut today, y'all.
Chill, bro.
You see that? You see some sideburns popping and them cheeks out there.
Chill.
Bro had to put on some that Fendi makeup on today.
No, but I chilled this weekend.
Them glasses, too.
Huh?
I need them glasses though.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to. I'm gonna wear some shades, so I'm just trying to, break them in slowly. But my little sister was in town with my niece, so I got to finally meet my niece. And,
I saw that. She's beautiful, man. Congrats,
yeah, man.
bro.
Oh man, love
your
that
light
first
skinned
sight,
twin.
bro.
Your light skinned twin.
Yeah, my light skinned twin, man. She's great. She's great. I love her.
Look and see, everybody Don can be soft. Maybe not with y'all, but with his niece and his nephews.
Oh, yeah, man. Family, that's my Achilles heel, man. Everybody know that.
Yeah. So you spend most of your time spending with them?
Mm-hmm.
Do anything else? Watch any movies?
No.
Listen to any music?
Yeah, I was forced to listen to I gonna say and make it sound bad because I love SZA, but yeah, I heard the SZA album.
What you think about it?
It wasn't for me.
Oh,
you know, that's my new thing. It wasn't for me.
Yeah. So everybody don't judge us because Don didn't love that incredible album, but it's okay.
The first album is better.
Yeah, I disagree. But
Yeah, you're wilding.
Control was great.
Yes,
But that's what's so
Super
weird to
great.
me is knowing your like ear and your taste for music that you didn't love that album. I mean, for me, it hit every single spot.
Bro.
I cried on Far, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Bro, those lyrics hit me corazón. They hit here.
Nah, man, that album ain't got nothing on Control, bro.
I think it's just because of what I've come out of and knowing what she was coming out of and just going through her whole breakup with her through that album and that whole progression. I think for me it was like, again, I haven't been having any expectations on music. So for me going into that, it was like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised and I loved it. I love the message behind it. I love the cross genre she decided to step into. And for me, it was the best album of the year, not based on like, it was based on how it hit me more than just like, if I'm going out, I'm putting on Beyonce. If I'm working on the gym, I'm playing the Beyonce album. Right? The Babyface Ray album surprised me. I never knew about Dude, and that shit go hard.
Wait, so you're saying that's the best album of the year?
That for me, because I
The
listened
SZA
to
joint?
I listened to it back to back.
That's wild.
Solana, I love you, so don't take this the wrong way.
You just gonna look at it like that in the camera.
Yeah.
Hey, find him on Instagram at Don City. Says he'll be waiting. His DMs are open.
Yeah.
I think everybody in the world's DMs are open for you, SZA. I think
True.
Male or female, right?
Probably.
You would love on SZA.
Yeah.
I think everybody would. I think
Yeah.
it's like she might be, her and Beyonce might be the consensus of like male or woman would be like, yes.
Yeah, I'm loving Thick SZA, man.
I'm the old head. I've heard the name, but I have no idea.
I'm trying to think.
So I mean, I'll Google it later.
Yeah, she different. She's very different.
Yeah, for sure.
She's for sure
In a good
different.
way. In a good way.
In a very good. I don't think. I'm trying to think back in your day, who would have been the equivalent?
You wasn't there back in my day. You don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
You gotta Google it.
Yeah, probably. What about you, Jenna? What happened this weekend?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I went to Disneyland today, so my cup is full. I'm excited about that.
How was that?
It was
It's during
fun.
Christmas time, and that's expensive right now too.
Well, I got the pass, They brought the passes back for a minute, and I was able to get one.
Yeah,
it's nice too because a lot of my friends aren't really Disneyland fans, but Manny's like all for it, and so I'm like, yes. So we just go, and then it's my dad and mine thing too. So I went with my dad earlier this week.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I just become such a big ass kid at amusement parks. Like when I went to Universal, it's like my energy all of a sudden was up, and I was like, gotta get here. I'm usually tired during the day, but when I'm at an amusement park,
speaking of Universal, the Mario World opened up in February.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't
Dang, that'll be dope.
I'm so there.
That's gonna be really cool.
Amanda just got the ears with the two toads on it and the green and the red.
Cute.
Oh yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I want to go again. Like, there's just something about Whoville, man, during Christmas.
I know.
time.
I'm so sad. I don't think I'm gonna be able to go.
It's cheap, bro.
Well, my calendar is like wild. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get over there.
Yeah, I mean, best day to go, especially if you got time, just during a weekday.
Yeah.
Like next week would probably be preferable because it's right before Christmas break, so you're not gonna hit that wave of people. But I mean, you go there.
It's really too cold out, man.
Yeah, man, but that even makes it even better.
That makes it better. I agree. Like Disneyland cold. Oof. Yes, please. Like beanie, hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. Why is that funny?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Did I just see that you put your Christmas shit up?
Yeah. This is my color this year. I went tomato red with everything.
Those of you who don't know, Jenna is gang affiliated.
Oh yeah, look at me, bitch from Garden Grove. Hey guys.
Yeah.
I do have like a 714 tattoo because it's my birthday and also my area code. And then I've only had one person approach me like, "Hey, red looks good on you. What's 714 mean?" I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." I think it's like Valentine's Day too. So I was wearing like.
I know where I'm from. We know what what that means. But you live close to Garden Grove right now?
Yeah. Right now I'm in. I was in Long Beach for many years, but now I'm over in Westminster, right by Seal Beach.
Hey.
But I still claim Long Beach.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm in Garden Grove, right by Seal Beach. I claim Seal Beach. I'm just kidding, but I am like right there, really close.
For good reason.
But I worked in Seal Beach for a really long time, and I'm pretty familiar with the little main street right there. Is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Little small mom and pop town.
Yeah, you're right in the back pocket.
But yeah, Westminster is my neighbor city for sure.
Yeah, and then I saw that, so I was like, I have all my Christmas stuff out, and then I started thinking, why am I about to put it up when nobody's here? My daughter's not coming this year. I'm gonna go up there. Shorty's in Canada. My Rellies is staying with me. He's
do it for you.
No, I'm not. That's a lot of work.
I get
it. just to take it down a few days later, like I'm good.
I had to go all out this year because Chris, one of my best friends, she lived with me for like 2 years.
Yeah.
She just popped up in my living room, and this is my first Christmas in a minute with like having my living room back.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna Christmas the shit
out
of everything.
Yeah. It looks dope. It looks nice.
It looks cute.
I need to come over there and jump on the couch.
Stories, geeking out.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, let's do a game night, pajama night. And I'm like, yeah, y'all want to come over. So my house is cute.
Well, you don't invite nobody. I mean,
honestly, I'm telling you, my schedule right now has been wild.
Sarge, you don't understand. She don't.
Kel, you've been unhinged.
Fact. She don't love us, Sarge. She don't invite me or Don anywhere.
Just my busy season, y'all. Give me a break.
She got a boyfriend now. She don't let him come out. I do have a boyfriend. And I love Manny. Manny's cool. I brought him out. We went and saw Music Soul Child together.
And Jenna be working.
What do you got to do? Besides this?
This?
I think I'm gonna go.
Nah, I might see it this weekend.
Maybe.
That's a maybe.
So you don't let me go by myself? All right, bet. Say less. So I might do that tomorrow, but other than that, it was a pretty chill weekend, man. I just, I'm trying to get out this rut I'm in. I just feel like I'm stuck in it. Oh, I went through some Twitter beef for the first time. It squashed. Me and bro talked. He had posted like my public information because he had thought I had threatened him.
Wait, what public information?
Like he had just went on and saw my stuff in different places, but again I don't know what he's gone through in his life. I don't know if because he felt bullied or whatever. Whatever the case, we squashed it. It is what it is. But it was kind of stressful because, as you know, I'm trying to get on Big Brother, and I'm like, yo, wait, I can't have nothing tarnishing my reputation. And first off, I'm not gonna bully nobody or threaten nobody on social media, bro. Like I'm not. I'll be tired. Like thinking about that to have to deal with fighting and all that stuff makes me tired in itself. So I'm not dealing with that. So it was just interesting because it's like, all right, Kale, retract, because if you do get on the show,
Yeah.
and I remember how I acted when Sisterhood was on, and I was like, I can't revert back to 10 years ago when I was on that show and how I reacted and deleted my socials and all that. So it's like, it was a good test for me to say, am I really ready to jump back into this? And that's why I think kind of was like, it made it more for me to be like, okay, bet, like I need to put this video out because maybe I'll get chosen. Maybe I'll be able to speak on mental health and bring that for men and bring that to the forefront. Yeah. So,
I mean, he probably did you a little favor anyway, because if he was able to find dirt on you as easy as he was able to see it, now you know it exists to like kind of remove it before.
I moved
whatever public information he pulled.
Yeah, no, he just, my other socials, and I always forget everything's public. So all you got to do is type in my name and you'll find me. So I'm like, luckily I ain't got shit to hide. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting, man. It was an interesting encounter, and it drained me for a whole day. I was like, wow, this is real life. So I definitely can see how some people may react and respond in a certain way. But yeah, that's all it was. But yeah, let's dive into it, man. Sarge is my guy. I met him through my bro Norm. He always hosts a poker night on Wednesdays. Sure. So thank you for being here on a Wednesday.
Dang,
instead of his normal poker night. His house is fire. I met him because my boy Norm had a birthday party at his house, pool party, where I met my ex, the toxic one, who he knows. He's known before I knew her.
Oh no!
So he said,
"You okay bringing her up?"
Yeah, good, bro. Yeah. No, he knew how hard it was because we were at a pool party at Norm's, and I was talking to him about it, and I was just, it was a lot. So he's always been a solid dude, man. Very even, just not over emotional, not under emotional, just very solid. His real name's Derrick. So Derrick, if you want to let us know a little bit about you, what you do, your background, before we dive into it, so that people can know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously my nickname is Sarge. That's because Norm, that we met, we were in the military together. So I spent 23 years in the military, combat vet. Damn. And I have 4 combat tours. And then coming back from that, I've been diagnosed with 100% PTSD, right? And so that's just like part of my journey. So as I came along, I got exposed to hypnotherapy, where it being used on me, right? And then it helped me to better manage stuff, right? And then down the line, I was able to, I found out actually in Tarzana, they have a school in Tarzana, HMI, Hypnosis Motivational Institute, and the VA actually paid for me to go.
Wow.
So I spent 15 months going to school there. And so I never thought that I would ever teach it. But then once I learned it, it was like, it's some powerful stuff. Because I've always wanted to know like how the mind worked. And nobody really teaches you that, right? I mean, online now you can kind of Google it, but back then, like, you didn't. And it taught a thing called theory of mind, and we'll talk about it later. And once it explained theory of mind,
ooh, I'm so interested.
It blew my mind. But
yeah,
facts.
My mind, so
yeah, I mean, I think that's how I kind of got into wanting a life coach and be more on the mental side, is I was so mentally just like everywhere. But then as I started to develop more and understand traumas and how the brain works and how our brain is very fragile. Like, you think you got your shit together, but it takes one thing to literally just crash everything. And your brain is, because you can be strong-willed, but your brain is just it's your brain. Don't worry about, like, I think, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit, is words are powerful, and our brains don't understand the difference. So when you say can't, like I learned this, when you say can't, your brain's not thinking you can't do this one thing. It starts to put in your brain the word can't. So you then start to think you can't do a lot of shit because your brain just understands can't. Doesn't understand the concept of I can't make this or I can't do this. It just hears can't. You know what I mean? So it's just weird how our brains comprehend shit. But then again, there's this book called what is this called? Oh, Drunk Tank Pink. If you've never read that book, go get it. It talks about certain shit with the mind. So the concept of it is they started with these prison walls used to be white. They realized that when you make the walls pink, the temperature of the inmates goes down. They actually did a study on it to where they're less physically strong around pink walls and things like that. So that's another reason why some boxers begin to wear pink gloves, pink shorts, because their
clever.
competitors, seeing it, were less. It took away some of their strength. They also talked about the power of the name. Name somebody you know that's name is Prince, and isn't doing things that are what we would consider a hierarchy of prince or king, or you know what I mean. Like, so how you name your child dictates that. And so certain stuff like that. And I was like, oh shit. So it's just like, but that's our brain. So when we see certain colors, what do you attribute when you see red and yellow together? What do you think about?
Like McDonald's, and that was the whole thing too. They did a test on that. Where like
Food.
red, yeah, you're hungry. It gets you like excited to eat.
What fast food place doesn't have red or yellow in it?
Subway's green.
It doesn't have yellow in it?
Oh, it does have yellow, green, and yellow. Burger King, blue and red. What's Burger King?
What'd you say? Blue and red, right?
Oh, so it has to be red or yellow.
Wingstop.
Green.
Yellow?
Ew, I need to
Wait,
stop
you got
talking.
Burger King blue and red?
No, it has red in it.
Oh, what was it?
Look, if you look at all of them, because it triggers your hunger. It triggers
Yeah.
hungry.
Well, no, I could.
It's just
definitely
cool
see-
the power of like your brain, the way it receives color.
So you could say like, if you looked at this in Burger King, if you look at the actual logo, it has a
It has red in it.
Oh, it is
and
red.
It has low key.
It's like orange.
Okay, yeah.
Like
We should do a test because we are wearing
But
red
look
and
at the
yellow.
original one.
If anyone's
Look-
eating snacks right now,
Yeah, but look at the original.
watching the
Yeah,
podcast.
originals, yeah.
Look at the original.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's
So-
changed over the years, yeah.
Yeah, I've read a few articles on like the power of color and how it's perceived and like what it does to you. I will say I've read a couple books on like neuroscience and just the power of the brain. So I'm so intrigued to hear what you have to say. But like the subconscious, the part of hearing the word can't, I kind of related to like when you hear the word stress or like when you feel stressed, that there's a fear attached to it, or like, oh, I'm stressed out. There's like a negative connotation to it, so you immediately like getting like releasing cortisol and feeling stressed about it. I heard this one speaker one time and she was saying stress isn't a bad thing. What makes stress bad is that you fear it, and then all of a sudden it's this horrible incident that happens. But if you look at stress as your body like preparing adrenaline to get shit done, you could look at it from a different perspective and be like, oh, I'm stressed, but like I got it, like I'm gonna get it done, and then you remove the fear of it. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I think it's also one of those things where, like credit, for example, right? Debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt.
True.
Right. So the way that we're designed as human beings is in this environment, we're going to be stressed.
Yeah.
But there's good stress and there's bad stress or unhealthy stress, right? And so if you don't know how to manage it, the good and the unhealthy, then we live in a world where we get overwhelmed with the unhealthy because everything that we do, what's programming us, is what we see, what we hear, the environment, our conversations. And the biggest conversation of all is the conversation that you have inside. Right? The conversation that you have inside that impacts you the most. So so we live in a world of stress, right?
I kind of related that originally to heartbreak, which is what we talked about last week. But I remember when I was dating, I would get really excited about someone and then I'd get really stressed out or like really anxious about it because I'm like, man, I really like them. I hope this works out. I hope it turns into something. I hope it continues. And I realized like the fear that I was attaching to heartbreak was so severe for me that I was so stressed out and anxious about it. As soon as I removed the fear or like removed that part of, in the same sense of like good debt, good heartbreak, bad heartbreak, I was like, oh, if things don't work out, that's fine, Jenna. Like you'll move on. Like I started to look at heartbreak as less of like a painful thing or as less of a hard thing and more like, oh, well, it's inevitable. It happens. Like, don't be so fearful of it. Then I won't be so stressed out about it. And it was really cool. That changed a lot for me.
So in your particular sector of things, how do you see the mind and the impact it has and like the fragileness of it? And like, does that go hand in hand with hypnosis, or kind of give us a breakdown on how that works and what it's used for?
Yeah. So for the most part, I don't see the mind as being fragile. I don't see it as being fragile. I feel, not that I feel, but it's fact that when we're born as babies, we only actually are born with two fears, right? The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it. So everything else is learned behavior. Anything you believe, any fear you have, all that stuff is learned behavior, right? So and we get programmed. So when we were talking earlier about whether or not, oh, I don't think I can be hypnotized. So children from 0 to 9, automatically, they're in hypnosis the whole time. That's the reason why a child could, you know, as adults, we be trying to be slick, right? Be sipping, slipping, doing whatever, right? And thinking that the child don't see it, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, where they pick that up? I never said that around them, right? Because they don't intellectualize, right? They just take everything in, everything in. So they don't understand what you're saying, but what they feel is energy. They feel energy.
Yeah.
And that's where the programming comes in. So if you're a baby, for example, or if you see a baby, certain people can come in with a certain energy and go towards that baby. The baby is somebody else, the baby's calm because of the energy. And so that energy, they begin to feel stuff, right? So if it's a harsh energy, then they feel threatened. They feel afraid. And you ever see that movie? What is it called? Inside Out? Great movie.
Yeah.
Right? So that's exactly what's happening. So you're being programmed. So by the time that you're 8 and 9, your personality and all that has developed. And some will say have high self-confidence, low self-confidence, you know, out extrovert, introvert, all that stuff. But all it is the child feeling the energy that makes them feel safe. Right? And then the way the mind works is everything after that, 8 or 9, they develop critical mind, conscious mind, and everything after that, if it supports what they already feel, the subconscious mind will receive it.
Wow.
Right? If it doesn't support what they feel, the subconscious mind will kick it out.
That paints.
So now you're running around and you're an adult, and you've experienced all this trauma, like you were saying earlier. Oh, I'm afraid of heartbreak. I'm afraid of if this doesn't work out. But it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from the past, and it's usually the hurt child is the programming that's running our lives. So even at 54 years old, if I'm not doing my work continuously, that 8 or 9 year old, when I was little skinny ass Negro, I was 5'11", 135 pounds. They used to always try to pick on me and stuff like that. So that insecure little boy began to either fight or run. Right.
I was just speaking to somebody about that right before this, and I said that we were talking about social media, and I was saying, she was basically saying she doesn't post things for attention. And I said, consciously, I believe, even though some people may look at her stuff and say, oh, she's trying to get, she's not like that. She's very, like, if you see her in a room, she's very just more so in the back, quiet, you know, not really seeking or grabbing attention. But I told her, I said, well, yeah, social media is for attention. She's like, no, it's not. She's like, I could have a page with no followers, nothing, and I still post because she likes, you know, she does like, you know, photography, stuff like that. But I'm like, but yeah, if it was for nobody else to see, then that's just your photo gallery, right? So I didn't, and I had to break it down because I understood how her brain was receiving it, because then she started to feel kind of attacked. And I said, no, it's not you. It's not the conscious adult person that's seeing this, needing the attention. It's this younger version of you that didn't get the attention that you needed, because we've had these conversations. And even though you may as an adult not think you're seeking it, but there's that younger version of you that didn't get it that's still there seeking that attention, right? So for me, me and all my insecurities as far as am I enough, a grown-ass adult, Kel, I know what the hell I've been through, and what, you know, but then when you break it down to the basis, that child, that the young Kel that I have to have conversations with is still afraid of abandonment. It's still, am I good enough? Why weren't you here? Things like that. Even though adult Kel's like, I don't give a fuck. But the young Kel's like, bro, I ain't going nowhere. I'm here. You know what I mean? So that makes, that's crazy.
Yeah, unless you figure out a way to change the programming. And a lot of times people do change the programming, but most people don't know how. So sometimes you can do stuff, like you can create something, but don't know how you create it. So if you learn how to create it and learn how to reprogram your mind, now you actually have real power back. Because the reality is that 88% of your decision making is subconscious.
So what would you say to somebody like Don, who Don has a whole?
Like, what's up, Don?
No, I'm saying as far as like he's got a whole bunch of creative shit that he keeps to himself. He's a perfectionist. He won't release it till he feels like it's right. and it just sits there.
Right.
And even some of the songs I was playing with you before we came on the air, that's 4 or 5 years. That's just hella long ago. Right. Yeah. And the world doesn't know it's really out there because he doesn't push it, doesn't care. He just records it, puts it out there. Onto
you want to put Don on Front Street? Talk to Don. Don, you okay being on Front Street?
Yeah,
it's cool.
So let's go back to childhood, right? Family life. You know, how many siblings?
Only child to my mom's.
You the only child of your mom?
Yeah.
Did you grow up with other children or?
I had my cousins and stuff, but mainly in the house it was just me and her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were the apple of your mom's eye, and you want every child wants to please their mom.
Of course.
Right.
Facts.
Did you ever want to make a mistake in front of your mama?
Nah, still don't.
Still don't, right?
Yeah.
So you want this thing to be perfect, right? But the flaw in that is, as human beings, we're imperfect. So it's impossible to be perfect. So what ends up happening is you never want to expose yourself or make yourself vulnerable and reveal that you're not perfect. Right?
That's a
when true artistry and musicianship is about being able to just express yourself, because that's really what it is. It's about a form of expression. So when clients that I deal with that's dealing with perfectionism, then we work on, it's not about being perfect. It's about excellence, being your best, giving your best at the moment that you're actually doing it. And that's all you can do, because if it's about being perfect, it's never going to get out. It's never going to be perfect. As an artist, every time you do something, you be like, oh, that's almost it. Very few artists say, that's it.
True.
They'll keep doing it over and over and over. But the beauty and what makes it the masterpiece are the imperfections.
I agree with that.
Right.
And I don't yes and no, I am a perfectionist, but like we was talking when we had Rob on the show, it's more so the idea that I have that I can't fully realize, and then I kind of just retract from it. So I'll be like, man, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but if I can only do X, then I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. Then I go on to the next thing. Right. So, and now I got just a hard drive full of ideas and songs. And
so why don't you just keep doing X's? Just keep doing X's. And all the X's will be a little different. And eventually the X is some of them are going to shift to a Y. Mm-hmm. And eventually some of them, so what ends up happening is you have an idea and it's not complete. And so because it's not complete in your mind, you let it go. But part of the journey, part of the fun is just doing it, because you love doing what you do, right?
Yeah. Just
do it and put it out. Just do it and put it out. You'd be surprised. Some of the stuff you might put out that you say, "Oh, this is shit." There'll be some music exec somewhere here that'll be like, "That's it right there. That's what I've been looking for."
Yeah.
Right. So your talent, you're keeping your talent to yourself. I tell people this all the time. We have talents, we have gifts, we have abilities, all these things. Your talent was not meant for you. Did you know that?
I agree.
But your talent's not meant for you.
Yeah.
Your talent is meant to be a blessing to you, but your talent is meant to serve and help other people.
Yeah.
So if you're not putting it out, who you helping? And if you keep storing it up, one day we all gonna die, right? Yeah, somebody might find your music trove, right, and take credit for it. But I believe in God, universe, however you acknowledge it. But if you have these gifts and these abilities, and you're not using them, then why even have them, right? Or if you're not sharing them, I should say, because you're using it, right? And you're doing your thing, but share it.
Makes me think of like Larry June. He drops like, you know who Larry June is, right? What? No. He's literally from the Bay.
He's from the Bay.
He's so Larry good. June? Oh my God.
Wow.
Anyways, he's amazing, but he has dropped, I don't even know how, do you know how many albums, EPs, songs? Countless. Like every single thing he touches, drop it. Drop it. So he has so many goodies because there's like so many songs. I literally think
So like
anything
Wayne,
he touches,
like
he drops.
Like Wayne used to. Wayne used to release so much music
Yeah.
all the time.
I cannot believe he's amazing. That we're gonna figure. We'll talk about this later.
Larry June?
And he's from the Bay. He's so fucking good.
What does he do?
Huh?
What's he do?
He's
He
a
rap.
rapper.
But it's
You know, I really don't listen to much rap.
But it's his branding. Like he branded like the orange.
Yeah. And it's
So
like
that's
his
his
color and
color.
like fruit. Like he's very like about healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, healthy lifestyle.
Not in like a weird way though. Like in a good like in
yeah,
a good way.
he make it cool.
Oh, okay.
So
but also like his music is good. His samples.
Yeah.
He's just like his music
June
from the
dope.
words to the song. Like it's just so good. Everything about it. Anyways.
She passionate about him.
No, he's so good.
Nah.
Larry June. I'm just kidding.
Females love
I'm in a happy
love Larry
relationship.
June, bro.
No,
Like,
he's every box is checked with Larry June.
and he independent.
Oh, word.
I gotta Google SZA and I gotta Google Larry.
We just
June.
blessed you for sure. Well, don't listen to this.
That's
This is
probably
last
like
album
Toby,
first,
bro.
though.
So that reminds me of he's probably the bass version of Toby and Wigway.
Yeah.
Because
He's dropping so much.
Toby dropped during the pandemic every Sunday. He was dropping a new song or new idea. He's the one that
It's
did
exactly
the
that.
Try Jesus.
Yeah, he took.
Oh, yeah, he's so
took
good.
full
He
advantage.
took
And
he's still in it. He's
he
independent.
took mint
Yeah, man.
the color.
And Kanye copied that. You didn't see it. Kanye started copying that whole little
No.
yeah, it was for real.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like that
couldn't-
whole little
didn't-
thing he did, and he did everything in the house. That was crazy. Independent. He's had labels come to him. He's like, nah, bro, I'm good. Like he doesn't need it.
Yeah, no, you gotta listen to Larry June. I'll send you some good.
So I mean, and that's. But back to your point, and I think that that's good to touch on. But how do you unlock something like that with like somebody like Don? I'm say myself like, I'm the opposite where it's like, I could probably. I mean, there's been certain ideas that I've started, and then I stop as well, and then somebody else. Like for instance, me and a bunch of friends, we had this app called Bloop, and we just didn't have the funding behind it. I actually told D-Beck about it, and he saw the whole pitch deck, and he was like, bro, this is great. We never completed it. Now, when you go to Snapchat and you swipe across, you see the locations of your friends and how close they are to you. That was us before it was there, you know? But it was like more or less like, all right, I don't know how, again, I guess in the same sense, I don't see the ending. So since I can't find a way to get to the ending, I'm just, the idea's gone. But and then I was just like, I feel like I get stuck. I've always had these great ideas as far as like my brain's a marketing brain. That's what I went to school for. It's like, how my brain works besides healing, but it's also like the fear of, and I think we spoke about this before, the fear of not necessarily failure, but just our battle between the fear of doing something and not succeeding on a level that I know it should succeed at compared to, just living and just being potential. So I always am in the middle of that, like, I'm not going to be just potential, but I'm not reaching here, which is it's insane to me because what I see as simple, some people look at it and be like, oh, that's crazy, that's insane, that's a great idea. And for me, I'm like, no, this is just common sense. Right. You know what I mean? So when I started getting to the point where I saw a lot of people saying the things I thought about the ideas I had were more than, common sense, it was like, oh, I have a brain that sees things that others don't, but I just don't know how to, put it into the world. And then I get into my own box, and I like me and Don are similar in the sense of I'll sit my ass in the house, and there's plenty of times where I've been invited over to your crib. I'm like, yeah, I want to go, but I'm like, it takes so much. I'm gonna sit here because my brain is on overload with all the shit that goes on in the day, and a lot of people don't know. Like my brain is, from the moment I wake up, it's, and that's why I started when I picked up those the keto pills from you. I had to start going to the gym consistently in the morning because I was like, my brain is, as soon as I'm up. If I'm up at 4, I can try to go back to sleep and it's all bad because now my brain's up and it's like, oh, well, but if you just wake up right now, you can get this done and then this done and then you set your day like this and and it's like, and there's so much more time in the day and then you could possibly go to sleep at 9, get 8 hours of sleep. That's how my brain starts going and it's crazy. But how do you discover that? And then how do you break through that wall and that barrier?
So everyone's different, obviously, right? Because we all have different programming. So all the stuff that we're talking about, your environment, what you listen to, how you grew up, your friends, all that, it's just programming, right? So we all have different programming. And depending on your programming will depend on how you respond to some things. Also, self-worth. Do you feel like you're worthy of it? Do you feel you deserve it? Do you have confidence in yourself, right? Do you love yourself? Right? Oftentimes people don't talk about that, but most of us have never even been taught how to love ourselves. We've been taught to look outward for love, right? When the reality is that you're supposed to look inward for love, right? And love yourself. And so when you start doing all those things first.
Say it one more time for the people out there. Say that into the mic and let them know one more time about that.
What I had said, right, was.
What you had said. That's a gem right there. Yeah. We weren't taught, right?
Yeah, we weren't taught. We weren't taught how to love ourselves. And to no fault of our parents, our grandparents, whatever, because they weren't taught how to love themselves, right? So you can only teach what you know.
Especially in
and
Black
so
culture.
We've been taught that if you love yourself and you put yourself first, then you're selfish, self-centered, whatever, right? But I'm against that, and I'll tell you why. If I love myself first, when I love myself first, then when I'm around you all, I'm actually teaching you all how to love me without saying a word. Right? And so oftentimes just think about the people that you go around. Like if you see people disrespecting themselves, and are you going to respect them? No, you teach people how to love you. You teach people how to treat you based on how you treat yourself.
Yeah. And
once you learn that, right, and you start focusing on being healthy with yourself, loving yourself, disciplining yourself when you're out of pocket, right? All those, because that's what you do in love, right? So when you start doing that, you actually become the optimal you.
Yeah.
And if I'm optimized, I'm a better friend, I'm a better husband, I'm a better healer, I'm a better citizen, I'm a better everything.
Yeah.
When I focus on myself first. There's a thing that I like to talk about where I say you have to focus on the inner me, not your perceived enemy, right? Because all the answers, we're spiritual beings. Some people believe it, some people don't. If anyone don't believe it, come sit down with me. Trust me, you'll believe it after we get done, right? So we're all spiritual beings, right? And we have to be able to identify with that, right? Everything else, physical, is just a reflection or a manifestation of your spirit, your emotions, and your mental, right? So if you're struggling in finances, people want to go get a loan, people win the lotto, but within a few moments, week, months, years, they're back to the norm. Why? Because this is all just what we call fruit. It's a reflection of who you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So if you focus on growing that, then money will come without problems. Love, relationships will come without problems. Your talent level will go to a whole nother level, right? But it's all the answers you will ever need in this existence is inside of you. It's getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
The number one way to get your power back, doesn't sound weird, but is keep your word. Right? Keep your word.
Yeah.
Scarface say, I got two things, my balls, I break it for nobody, right? But I'm not talking about keep your word to other people.
Yourself.
Keep your word to yourself.
Your motherfucking self.
Right? So as we get to know each other, and as we got to know each other, what makes us even be able to have a conversation, for me and Kel, for example, is the fact that whenever we have conversation and we talk, whatever we say, we're going to do, we do. Right? So as a result, there's a level of trust that's built within to say, if I say something else or if he says something else, and as long as we do that, we're building relationship, we're building bond, we're building trust, until a point it'll get to where it's called blind trust, where you say, hey, Sarge said you're going to be there, he going to be there, so I'd rather die. Come on, we're going because he's going to be there, right? But let's say I didn't keep my word to him. And every time I said something, I flake. I flake. What would that do to our relationship?
It's not, lack of trust.
Will we trust each other?
No.
Will we bond? We won't grow, right? Now, we understand that. But think about this. How many times have you said to yourself you was going to do something and didn't do it?
I really struggle with that.
Right? From the smallest of shit, right? From the smallest of shit. I'm gonna get up before 7, right? And you get up at 7:45. So you're doing all this. You're breaking your word to yourself over and over and over and over again. Now all of a sudden you get your 1% inspiration. This idea of the blue, right? Oh man, I'm gonna make millions of dollars with this shit. Your subconscious mind, which is 88% of your decision making, says, nigga, you full of shit. You can't even get up and go work.
Shit.
Get up at 7 o'clock like you said, but now we're gonna make millions of dollars with this? Whatever.
Next.
Right? So the way to get your power back is stop, take a break, time out, say the statement, from this moment on, I will not commit to something to myself and not complete it. If I have to die to complete that thing, I will die to complete it. Mm-hmm. Right? And what that does is over time, you actually building power. Because after a while, your subconscious mind gonna be like, okay, he's serious about this thing. Now all other kind of things come into place. Universe, God, energy. You know, you're not operating on a different frequency.
Mm-hmm. Bro, that's DJ Khaled to the fullest. Yeah. Because DJ Khaled is literally the epitome of like, I'm gonna do it no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Which is also like an athletic, you know, like them believing that they're going to be a certain way and like get to a certain point and believing they're the best. Like that's the mentality they have to have in order to even get their foot in the door.
Floyd, that's Jordan, all those people, the obsession of like
Puff.
Like, yeah, Puff.
It's a mind.
But like
it's
Jordan
mindset,
said,
yeah.
Jordan would literally make up stories in his head about you. If he wasn't good, if the game wasn't going, he'd be like, "What did you say?" Something would be like, "Nothing." Oh, yeah, you said something.
Oh man, he got that from Waterboy.
But I'm saying Jordan Jordan was a sicko like that, but he was great at what he did.
I never thought about it like that.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Epiphany, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy because like I could
88%.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I could keep my word
to someone else.
Yeah, to someone else.
Yeah.
Like easy. Like I'm super about that, but you never really think about keeping your word to yourself like that.
Right.
That's
now go back to what we were talking about earlier with your mom not wanting to let her down, right? And the world and everything around us tells us that we're supposed to keep our word to everybody else. Who told you you're supposed to keep your word to yourself? They didn't tell you to love yourself, right? They didn't tell you to lift yourself up.
Not that ass. I got chills when he said that shit. Like I've never, like I'll keep my, you already know, I'll drop anything for anybody at any point in time. But for myself, oh no, I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
I'll be like, give grace to myself. But how many fucking times am I going to give grace to myself?
Yeah.
Literally.
Every time.
Next thing I know, I'm going to be 70. Oh yeah, I'll give grace to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the pattern, so it won't change. It's not going to change.
And what's crazy is when I actually do the shit I say I'm going to do and stick to it, I'm fucking feel phenomenal.
Yeah. That's a big. I also think that the weight of that mentally, I just think like looking at my to-do list, the days that like I actually do them and I'm like succeeding, I'm like, oh cool, I got a lot of shit done. I'm like ready to take on the world. Like I'm good.
That's why I tell people keeping a schedule and a journal is fucking key. So again, I've said this over and over. If you can, go get the book, The Miracle Morning, 6 things to do to be successful before 8 a.m. That book, no, see, well, you make that, but it's like,
I'm kidding.
Let me kind of break down a little synopsis of it. It tells you 6 things. They're called savers. And some of you guys may take this offensive. I added a 7th one in there, so I call it slavers. But it's actually originally SAVERS. So every morning before 8 a.m., you're supposed to do silence, which is meditation or prayer. Right? Spend that time with your higher power, yourself, whatever you need to do. Get your mind ready, right? Before you even start your day. Affirmations. Again, words. Affirm yourself, because how many times do you tell yourself you're worthy? Other people can tell you all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good when it's coming from somebody else, but it's going to feel better when your brain starts, when it starts coming from yourself.
Yeah.
The visualization. How can you know where you need to get to if you don't see it every day? Right. They have even a study if you're looking for a mate, start writing down what you want in a partner. Write down the most specific things as far as 10 top things you need. Look at that shit every day. You're going to start to see that more than you see the grand scope. You're going to see what you actually want, and it's going to come to you.
Yeah.
Because you're actually seeing it every day, so you're going to be looking for it every day.
Yeah, like green cars. Now all of a sudden you see green cars everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just how our brains work.
Yeah.
Exercise. Gets the blood flowing. Exercise is the key to everything. There's never been a person that says after they go work out, they don't feel good. Like your brain literally is getting oxygen, because I've come up with this notion, and I really want to dig deeper into it, but I believe it to be true because I started thinking about it. How many times do we actually breathe during the day? We take breaths.
And then like the amount, breath work is really, that's
we take
the
breaths,
amount
but how many times do we breathe?
Yeah.
We starve our brain from oxygen and then wonder why we're tired, hazy, confused. Because how many times a day do you just sit there and go, that's a breath? Yeah. Well, that's breathing. That's deep. That's a deep breath, which is breathing, because we're not getting oxygen to our brains, and our brains need oxygen to function. Where it's like when you're taking little breaths, like that is not doing shit for your brain. Like it's keeping you alive, but what is it doing for your brain? And the R is reading, right? Because your brain gets the brain going, expands your mind. It's expanding. Your mind's constantly able to grow and interpret things and take things in. So if, say for instance, Don wants to learn how to do this. So every day for 15 minutes, you read this on this subject that you can specify to your life and what you want to do. It doesn't have to be a broad spectrum. I'm just going to read this. No, this is what I'm trying to get into. So I'm going to read 15 minutes of this every day. Yeah. Now that's in, before your day's even started, that's already in there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then the last S is scribing, journaling. I mean, there was something Amanda posted the other day that showed the hearts. It said anxiety in the heart, and it was all twirled up. And then it said writing, and the heart was clear. And it had the string of anxiety to journaling.
That's cool.
Right? Because when you start to write things down and start to get it out, you start to see it on paper. So it doesn't have to necessarily be about that, but it could be about, this is what I want to do. I want to do this business. So 15 minutes a day, half hour a day, because remember, you got to get everything up before 8 a.m. 15 minutes, you sit and write down your goals. Maybe you're writing out your schedule. Now you have a schedule, you can start checking it off. Now you start putting that schedule into your phone and set alarms. Like there are people who set alarms for everything. And it's like, why not? Click, oh shit, that slipped my mind. Hey, I'm going to hit you back. I got to do this real quick. Boom, boom. When I used to do that and follow that, I started setting out time for myself because I realized I had way more time than in my head. I said I had no time. And when I set shit aside, I was like, I have 2 hours to myself to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Yeah. Besides the gym, I have 2 extra hours. Whether I want to watch a movie, whether I want to do this, I have 2 hours, right? And then you start realizing, oh, well, now I can actually shape this and shift this and do this here. I can get this done faster. Now I've got 4 hours to myself to just, you know what I'm saying? So it's a balance. But I also added the L in there for laughing, because I've never had a bad day when I've woken up in the morning and laughed. I've like literally said, I'm going to do this for a month. I said, I'm going to make sure I find something every morning and laugh, so I get on Twitter. And Tinder. Yeah, Tinder.
That's a good laugh too, though.
But I get on Twitter. Yeah, facts. But I get on Twitter, and you know, Twitter. Me and Don, like I've said, Don threads. Like still, the Gotham one is that Gotham one. It's like, yo, if you lived in Gotham, if you've never seen that Twitter thread, that is ultimate gold. But it would make me laugh, and I'd see how my day went, and I'd be like, oh shit, my day was amazing, because I started out with laughter. Yeah. So. Like back to your point, like just being able to set yourself in that mindset and like start to be good to yourself, it does do a lot. But it's the hard part is, again, speaking the words of like thinking in my head already. When you're saying that, I'm like, oh, that's gotta be hard. Why does my brain automatically equate that to being fucking hard?
Right. And that's the thing, right? And that's how you know, right? When those thoughts jump up, it's kind of your mind letting you know your belief system. Yeah. Right? Like ding 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 ding. Yeah. Yeah. If something like makes you angry, it triggers you, right? And no one ever stops to say, well, why did that make me angry? Because we live in a society that says if you get a headache, a migraine, go get a prescription. Yeah. Pop it. Why? To stop the headache. But the headache is your body's way of saying, whatever the hell you just did, don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But because we stopped the pain, right? We continue to
Do the same shit.
take
Like numb it.
and do these unhealthy things that the body is telling you, don't do this. So now we just keep popping pills.
Or even like sugar, like food, like the ingredients in certain things. Sorry to interrupt, but that's like a big one too. Is like the sugar high, and like you might not to say a headache, but any feeling. Like people that are addicted to like snacking during certain movies, like the part of your subconscious that like, oh, I need to be eating something or I need something sweet. The addiction to that.
Do you understand the body why sugar is why we crave so much sugar?
No.
So there's a couple things, right? So one is that sugar is actually more addictive than crack and cocaine.
I have heard that.
And cocaine. Like they actually did brain scans of people eating sugar, and the activity on the brain was freaking off the Richter scale. Secondly, the body secretes dopamine and serotonin to feel good, right?
Yeah.
The two times that the body secretes high levels of dopamine and serotonin is when you're having sex and when you're eating. So when you think of serotonin,
Two things I love
what do you think? What part of your body produces the highest level of those enzymes?
I don't know.
People think it's in the brain.
I thought so too, because like hormones,
Right.
because it's a hormone.
It's in the gut.
Oh. And if your gut is fucked,
Your brain.
damn.
So yeah, the gut biome and there's. this thing
If you
on
go
that.
back to Kemetic, ancient Kemetic teaching,
Mm-hmm.
the gut is considered the first mind.
all sickness starts in the gut.
All starts in the gut. And guess what else is craving sugar that's in your gut? Candida.
Okay, what's candida?
Candida is a bacteria
Mm-hmm.
that craves sugar, and we all have it, but because of this, particularly in America, especially because we have such high levels of candida, the candida actually connects with your nerves and stuff and begin to crave the sugar. So when it wants sugar, it tells you, go get an apple pie.
Yeah.
When it wants sugar, it tells you, go get a Coca-Cola. Give me sugar. Your might be too young. You ever seen Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, that's my shit. I just bought it.
Feed me Seymour.
Yeah, yeah.
Feed me all night long.
I just got a Christmas ornament that's little.
Yeah. So it's the candida.
It is crazy how much nutrition in your gut is related to your mental health.
Well, it's
That is wild.
So there's this thing called there's this book called it's when I was a vegan. Plant Paradox.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about, because I was vegan for 4 years, and then it actually talked about how dangerous actual vegetables can be to you if you don't remove what's called lectins. So lectins are basically things that are in plants that come in and trick your gut biome to allowing negative shit in, because your gut builds up stuff to keep things out, right?
Yeah.
So the lectins combine to your gut biome, and then it tricks it, and so other things seek in, right? And then it talks about how your gut and your brain are connected. Because think about it, when you have a crazy anxiety or whatever, or something's going on with your brain, what do you start to feel in your stomach?
Yeah.
Churning.
Or like sick to your stomach for sure.
So it goes hand in hand. But so lectins basically, like, it's a crazy dope concept of the book. Some people go against it, but I actually believe it, because plants do what? They evolve and they defend themselves from what? Insects.
Yeah.
We're a big ass insect.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it doesn't kill us like it may do an insect doesn't mean it's not affecting us. You're not supposed to eat corn. You think about it.
Yeah.
What happens when you digest corn?
I do remember that.
Because what it comes out what?
Almost whole, right? You don't digest it.
Cucumber seeds, tomato seeds, all that shit you're supposed to peel and de-seed. With rice, brown rice doesn't matter. Any rice you have, you're supposed to pressure cook it, because it gets all that shit out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
beans, yeah.
So it's crazy how that operates. But again, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we live in a world that has so much stress, right? Just in and of its own. Like, I think you have to be balanced, right?
Yeah.
So just see where you are now, right? See where you want to be, and then you gradually get there, right?
And people tend to think that being vegan is so hard. Not when you become it, because it's like it's a part of your normal life. So then the extra shit, you know what I mean? When I started having to eat meat again because I got sick, and it's because I went vegan without knowing what my deficiencies were. And I became super iron deficient. And so I went back to pescatarian, and then when I decided to start working out and getting back in shape, I started to add meat back in. But food is not supposed to make you tired.
Yeah.
It's a source of energy. So when you become tired after eating, one, you've overeaten because our stomachs are only this big. Two, you're putting shit in your body. Your body's like, bro, what did you just put in? Your body tells you what you're supposed to put in, what you're not supposed to put in. But we just don't listen. We just, like you said, we just disregard it because we've got Pepto-Bismol for it, and we've got antacids for it.
Well, I think that's the crazy, because I went vegan for a year and I was looking into like, okay, well, what does my body need on a daily basis? Like, what foods do I need to eat in order to get the nutrients that I need? Like, that shit was a whole thing in itself. But in the research for that, I learned that doctors are not required to take nutrition classes. And that blew my mind, because I was like, I'm going to go to the doctor because my stomach hurts. You're not going to ask me what I had to eat. You're going to ask me about some pills. I was like, I understand, like, at the end of the day, it's all about money, so it makes sense that, like, Big Pharma is going to be, take this pill, give us money.
Facts.
But it's crazy to me. I'm thinking, like, if you could take your car to the shop because of something, they're going to ask if you, like, they're going to look inside the car. Like, what did you put in the car?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, that shit is wild to me, just to show how, like, crooked and reverse it is.
Right. Well, it's changed over the decades and the centuries. So they give credit to Hippocrates and call him the father of modern day medicine, right? Mm-hmm. And they give him credit for saying that let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food, right? But I'm gonna look up Imhotep, right? Imhotep was from Kemet, and he was a doctor 400 to 500 years before Hippocrates ever came. In fact, they went to Kemet to learn.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
So food is medicine.
Yeah.
Right. Food is medicine. And most of us abuse food.
Yeah.
And like any substance you put in your body, if you abuse it, right, then it'll abuse your body.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you just got to know, and so you just have to learn that stuff. Why? Because again, going back to when we were trained growing up, I know my mom was a single mom with 8 kids. Right. Balanced meal. What?
Damn.
Balanced meal. What? I'm just trying to feed these little 8-year-olds, right? So what? She had to get government assistance. She had to buy stuff bulk. We remember them dry powdered potatoes, the powdered milk, government cheese, right? And so we grow up, right, eating certain things, and then let's talk about soul food. I love soul food, right? Same. And most of us do. But if you really think about soul food, it's slave food. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was never designed for good health.
Yeah.
Right. But grandmama and them, they was able to make these things that were not the most edible parts of animals and make it taste good enough so that we could eat it and that we would eat
enjoy it.
And it became we own that, right? Yeah. But then as we get older, as African Americans, we find out we have more problems when it comes to food, from the diabetes, the high blood pressures, the heart attacks, all that.
And people will talk shit on that basis, but it's like we all know that. Like, we know where the derivative of soul food came from. And it's like, but people be like, oh no, that's just you super woke. And I'm against the woke culture. Like, I think that shit is, if you decide to educate yourself, please read. Don't watch videos. Go read. Yeah. There's a reason, and I'm a firm believer, and there's a reason why they kept books away from African Americans, and you die for reading. You know what I mean? There's more information in books than you'll find. I mean, on the internet, yeah, but you can find books on the internet, right? Because that shit before time, before most of that, something was transcribed, right? So, again, that notion, but it's, again, how can you not relate what we eat to the high level of diabetes in the black community, heart problems and obesity in the black community? That is us. We are the epitome of all of those things. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's the common denominator, and most of that shit is what we eat.
Yeah. Well, it also goes back to self-love, right? We weren't taught to love ourselves, right? We were abused. So, like, we were abused. Like, all these things. Like, people say, well, that was 400 or 500 years ago. That ain't had nothing to do with you, right? But it's really not as far removed as a lot of people think. My grandfather was a slave. So we talk about it like it's a million years ago, right?
It's not.
I'm gonna tell you my favorite story I like to tell. It's called Thanksgiving Day ham, right? So a mom was cooking a Thanksgiving Day ham with her little 11-year-old daughter, and she cut the ends of the ham off. So she looked at her and said, "Mama, why you cut the ends of the ham off?" She goes, I don't know. My mom, she used to cut the ends off her ham. Well, let's call Grandma, see why she did that. Call her Grandma. Grandma, yeah, baby, you know how when you cut the ends off your ham when you make your ham? Mm-hmm. Why'd you do it? Hell, I don't know. My mother used to do it. So they called up the great-grandmother. And they asked her the same question, why would you do it? She said, well, baby, when me and your great-grandfather started out, we was poor. And we only had one pot. The ham was too big for the pot. So we would cut the ends of the ham off so it could fit. And they all looked at each other like, are you shitting me? So the point of the story is, most of how we operate and why we do the things we do, we haven't a single fucking clue how it got started. We just know that's how we do it.
Yeah, that's how it was taught.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
And when you're convicted of something, because when I was saying from 0 to 8, 9, right? You're in hypnosis and you receive everything, you receive it as an absolute truth.
Mm-hmm.
As an absolute truth. You don't question it. You don't question
like it's fact. Yeah.
It's fact.
Yeah.
So 1 plus 1 is 2.
To think about.
I'm not gonna question it. So if this is what we eat, if this is what is good, if this is, yeah, we see people dying around us all the time. Right?
It makes me really, think of like the cult cultures or like even religion and like being raised from that age, believing a certain thing and like how it really does become like ingrained in your brain.
It still makes me like, that's one thing is like I've been raised, Baptist church, Christian and all that stuff. And I've, just now bought the Quran. I'm gonna start reading that. But it started making me think that we as black folk, we're not allowed to read anything but the Bible. That's it. The only thing we could read as slaves was the Bible. Or get read to us was the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And I was raised in the Christian church, but why? Is that the only thing?
Yeah.
So that's why most African Americans come out there Christian until they go into Muslim, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Which it's essentially when you read most of the text, they're all pretty much similar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, we can go into a whole history.
We'll do
with
that, yeah, another day.
Yeah, that's something else. Because here, but we were also enslaved by Muslims as well. And it's funny. I grew up Christian. Well, my family grew up Christian. My brother became Nation of Islam, and we used to always have these conversations. He's talking about, the white man enslaved us. I was like, we had some very, very
juicy
conversations.
Yeah.
But and it happens in religion. But the interesting part is like we'll be able to identify organizations like the churches, the religions, other different groups, and say that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. But what we don't realize is that in our culture, period, it's the same problem. Mm-hmm. So television programming, hello,
yes,
right? They tell you television programming. There's a reason why you've only see certain images of beauty, of family, of wealth, all these things. Especially as a child, if you're a child and you're watching something that's dealing with love and you don't see anything that looks like you. And beauty is all one image.
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna grow up feeling like that. You're not attractive.
Yeah, like
that's crazy. Because
sure.
if you didn't know who Andre 3000 was, and you saw him playing his little violin or whatever in the fucking in the train station, you would think he was a homeless man.
Yeah, you would.
And he needed money.
I would cry. Oh my God! Just watch him play the flute. Just on like a street corner.
But it's like if you didn't know who that was,
yeah, you're right.
Because of the image of what we have as success and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Well, even like
he does that shit, but that's
like Bullet Train with Brad Pitt, and he sits down and he's like, "Man, you look like every homeless person I've ever seen." Yeah. And I was like, "Sorry, Brad, what you do?" Huh? But it really does, like, the image of that.
That's crazy. So, another thing I did want to touch on is the PTSD thing, and not just in the military basis, but just everyday life. I think that's not spoken about enough. As I think we all somewhat have PTSD.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like? Go ahead.
I have a question about that actually, because you said 100%. Is there like a percentage? They give you a percentage
In the
like a scale
with the VA, yes.
Oh,
VA. So yeah, they'll
I never knew that.
yeah, they give you a percentage on any disability, right?
Yeah.
So
Got it.
whether it's a mental health disability or physical disability,
Oh, I see.
they give you like 10%, 20%,
Got it.
and a lot of
Helps
times
you with
veterans
certain
are trying to-
benefits. So like
Right.
when I'm giving people mortgage loans,
right,
they have to be a certain percent to not have a funding fee,
right,
and that funding fee is
Got it.
That
right, significant,
I never knew
right?
that.
Yeah, so
1.75. I think.
yeah, and they just do that as part of the process for compensation for disability.
Got it.
So Don-
But
so-
most doctors won't do that.
Yeah. So Don, do you think you have PTSD? Anything?
Absolutely.
What would you say yours is from?
Shit, man, just growing up in Watts, man.
So enough said.
Yeah, man. I have survivor's remorse for sure.
Mm. Is that a part of PTSD?
I grew up
that's
like,
a trigger for it. Yeah.
even on my birthday. Like my birthday is always weird for me because I had 3 other friends. We all had the same birthday.
Oh shit.
And so yeah, all 4 of us together, and 2 of them is gone.
Mm.
Damn.
And it always makes me think like, damn, it could have been me.
Mm-hmm.
So birthdays is always a weird thing for me. Like I can never really enjoy it like that because I always feel guilty.
Right. Have you ever asked why it wasn't me?
Sometimes. Sometimes, yeah.
What
Like,
about you,
damn.
Jenna?
Honestly, I've never thought. I always thought I thought of like in the Army, something really traumatic happening, like plane crash, something crazy. But I just think I haven't been that close to anything scary. I
nah,
never
it's
even
crazy.
considered. I was like,
Like
no,
most of my friends are dead.
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like getting to 18 or seeing
fucking
21
blessing,
was
yeah.
like a feat. Like
Yeah.
that was a non-existent thing.
I never thought of the birthday thing. That makes so much sense. I know a lot of men that feel the same way, and I never considered
Yeah, birthdays.
being
is-
because of
yeah,
that.
birthdays. Yeah.
like just survivorship. That's crazy. I've never considered that.
So what are some of the signs of PTSD just in everyday life?
Yeah. So it's trauma, right? So
Mhm.
let me put a disclaimer out there. I'm not no doctor, and
From your experience,
yeah, and I don't know the medical definition of PTSD. Like I've read it, but I know some of the things that there was an event happened in your life, it traumatized you, right? And it's hard for you to deal with, and you get triggered by it often. And most people who have grown up in the ghettos, the hoods, et cetera, low income, have our day-to-day life, we see it all the time, right? We see it all the time, and we're triggered by that. So most of us, if we're driving in a car, the police jump behind you, right? What do? Right? You make sure you got the seatbelt on, you slow down a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
you're
You know,
nervous.
you're like, oh shit, I hope he don't pull me over, right?
Mm.
So that's a trigger. With PTSD, a lot of times, if you go into depression and stuff, then you want to kind of separate yourself. You want to isolate, right? You might want to drink. You might want to smoke marijuana and stuff like that. And those things like that, they actually, because they're depressants, right? They can help you. Like they'll be a distraction for a minute, but then it'll actually send you deeper into depression. Something interesting, getting back to the nutrition and health, all that stuff plays a part in it, right? Because it's your frequency, it's how you feel, whatever. There's a universal law called the law of polarity, right? Which says that you have total opposites, right? And that they're part of the same, right? So, for example, you can't have up if you don't have what, right? You can't have north if you don't have
South, yeah.
You can't have east, right? And so, but they're not opposites, right? They're not opposites. What they are is they're the same in nature, but they're only different in degree. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you have 50 degrees, 50 degrees, right, is colder than 51 degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's hotter than 49. So it's just a matter of degrees,
Mm-hmm.
right? And somebody could say, well, it's cold regardless. But technically, it's the same,
Yeah.
different in degree. So getting back to mental health, when you talk about mental health and depression, what's the opposite?
Not depressed.
It's called not depressed?
I always look at opposites, meaning, see, I wouldn't say that.
Well,
I don't think the opposite of sad is happy. I think the opposite of sad is just not sad.
Yeah. But what is the opposite of depression?
No
I mean,
depression.
take a shot at it.
That mine would be no depression, not depression.
Right.
What do you say, Don? Peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Peace.
But
Right.
wouldn't that mean your definition of depression would be a lack of peace? Because then what's the opposite of peace? Depression?
War.
See, then it changes.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say that though, right? So when you're talking to people and you say I'm depressed, then most people say, well, what's the opposite? What do you want to be? Well, I want to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is what people say, and then you can go because some people will say, well, part of depression, one of the symptoms is sadness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they can go down that line. If you don't remember anything else I say today, remember this. If you define depression and you look it up, it actually means the inability to express. It actually comes from the Latin, which means to put down.
Mm-hmm.
So the opposite of depression is the expression.
Expression. So if you look at people, look at us, look at us in the hood. Look at us and all these people who even people who kill themselves, right? And the doctors give again the headache, taking pills. You depressed, take pills. One of the best things you could ever do for depression is sit down and figure out a way to express yourself, right? In a healthy way. That's why art therapy works.
Yeah.
That's why being a musician works. That's why, like if you learn to express yourself. When I was working with some clients, what I would do is because sometimes people just can't formulate what they want to say.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the best things that even you can do, and it works great for kids too, is get a blank piece of paper. With that blank piece of paper, give them a bunch of crayons, markers, whatever, and say, for the next 3 minutes, I want you to think about what makes you very angry. What makes you angry? I want you to pick a color, and I just want you to just start coloring with that color. Let them color for how long? After that, okay, now when you're sad, what color? Do it. When you're happy, when you love somebody. And what end up happening is they're just going through the emotions, right? But they're actually releasing that stress out of the nervous system. And then when they get done, they have an interesting piece. And this is the best thing about that thing. You can have 10 people in there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody can show everybody each other's work. It's a secret code. You've just expressed yourself, got out your body. Somebody else can look at it and won't even know what meant what. Because you don't know because they don't know what color you use.
Sure, it's not like you did it in order,
right?
Like 1, 2.
Yeah, well, they don't know what color you use.
But
Yeah.
So you're not telling them the color, right? And then they'll begin to look at it and they begin to interpret it for what they believe it is, right? But that's
True, the color they chose. Like when you said happy, like that's really cool.
Right.
Sorry, that was really
Right.
cool.
Well, it could be, right?
That-
They
that's
Like
the
the way
way
they
they
interpret
may
it.
not even use that color at all, right?
True.
You
Never
know.
thought about that,
But it's about expression, right? And so when you learn to express, you get it out of your system. You make room in your brain.
Just even this fact is like when I hoop, there's nothing else on the world and on my mind. Like my mind is free because that's the best way I express myself. Is and then I think about situation with my ex. Her way of expression was in physicality and like as far as like if we were depression, the sex for her was an expression of her love, and then it was just like a serotonin bump, and just like that depression was gone. So I think just like possibly for you, like creation, or if you're depressed, you put on a film where your brain starts going and you can express your thoughts on it just based on your visualization, right? So I mean, there's everybody's been in that flow state. So it's a flow, like when you're in that flow state, you're not worried about depression whatsoever. Like probably for you when you're doing your photography, are you really worried about your depression?
Honestly, no. I'm thinking to myself, like, how do I express myself? Because photography right now is a job. If I'm being honest, it's fun, but it's a job. If I'm not working, I'm not bringing my camera anywhere.
What are you saying?
True, and I think that even like there's a certain, I don't know, like your nodules or whatever, like when you use your vocal cords, there's the muscle you're using when you sing is actually, it's like good for your mental health.
Well, there's this exercise people do. I've gone through crazy depression and anxiety. When you're super depressed, just go in the room and scream.
Mm-hmm.
And just let it out, and you feel so.
I think
much
it's
better.
the same. It's the vocal cord. Yeah. For me,
but
it is
even when
singing,
he's talking about that, I'm thinking about, that's why they have shit like when you're depressed, go to a junkyard and just smash.
Well, they
shit.
have like the smash rooms now.
Yeah, what they call them? I forget what kind of rooms they call them where you do that.
Smash rooms.
Yeah, but
Is
something
it
like
smash
that,
rooms?
right? But the whole idea is that and the other thing with stress, right, is like in the military, for example, boot camp is designed to highly stress you, right? So I mean, from waking moment to the moment you go to sleep, and even in between sleep, right? They're pushing the limits of the stress. How do they manage that, right? By making sure there's a bunch of physical activity going on, right?
Smart.
Right. So physical activity is an important part of health, mental wellness, right? Eating is a part of mental wellness, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do for mental wellness. When we talk about taking breaks, there's actually a difference between taking a break and meditating, right? And I'll tell you, it's and it can be huge, because when you're meditating, and even when you're praying, right, you're thinking about something, right? You're focusing on something. You have your intention, which is good. But the human mind and what hypnosis is getting you to a state where your conscious mind is overwhelmed and you go, enough is enough. And your conscious mind actually shuts down. Now you're actually in silence. So I like to use music as an example, and it's ideal having 3 musicians around me. What makes music music? Is it the notes? Is it what makes music music?
The sound.
Frequency, yeah, sound.
Yeah, it's just a sound. Would it be like listening?
The break. The rhythm, the break. Otherwise it'd just be all running.
True.
A sentence the same way. A sentence, if you just wrote and you never put a period and stop, right? So our minds, our brains are on constant go. When you was talking about what you was earlier, I'll be thinking about I could do this. Your brain is fucking running out of control, right? And they go, okay, I need to meditate. God, universe, da. Focus on attention. I want to empower, but your brain's still going. How would your body respond if you did that all day, every day? It'll fucking just give out on you. That's why you need sleep. Yeah. So you can just shut down, shut the mind off. But you can make a plan and say, this is how I stop my morning. Any of y'all ever heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman?
Yeah.
Okay. If y'all haven't, y'all look him up. So I do a morning breathing before I start my day. In the afternoon, I do afternoon breathing. And at night, before I go to bed, I'll do another breathing. And then I'll do my self-hypnosis. And I do my intention. As you see, I wrote down here: educate, empower, encourage, because it's always about intention. And then I'll go to sleep, right? So you have to schedule breaks where you say, no phone calls, no Twitter, no Instagram. no nothing, no thinking, no nothing. I'm just gonna focus on my breathing. I'm gonna focus on my breathing and silence. Turn everything off. Right. That's why a lot of young people, kids, have such issues because they're constantly connected. Like we didn't have that issue as when I was a child, because we didn't have all this internet like it is. It was like go outside, right? You went outside, you played. You wasn't, man. The phone and the games, their mind is constantly going. They never get a break.
Yeah.
And then they have issues, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Don't know how to be by themselves.
Yeah.
So to go off of, you mentioned alarms earlier and to be intentional about the breaks. The last heartbreak that I went through was when I really dug into neuroscience and I was trying to learn about reprogramming my brain. I dug into it because I didn't want to think about being upset. So I was like, what can I focus on? But it was crazy. I would set alarms throughout the day to remind myself, like, okay, check in with yourself. And I would have a series of questions of like, what am I feeling? Where in my body am I feeling it? Before any of this, the alarm would go off and be like, pause, check in with yourself. So if I was like at work or something, I would go to the bathroom and I would breathe. I would do my breathing treatment, which I learned from the Iceman. It was like 7 seconds in, 11 out, which slows your heart rate a little bit. And then I would ask myself the series of questions, and at the end I would choose myself. Okay, like I don't want to believe this about myself anymore. So what am I choosing to replace that thought with? And it would, but the alarms were so helpful because it reminded me like, oh wait, I need to remind myself. And after a while, what I was trying to teach myself, reprogram my brain, it did like eventually become a part of my subconscious, and like I went on to the next topic. But it was like really interesting. I haven't done it in a minute. Now I'm all encouraged. Like I want to do it. But it is crazy that you said the Iceman, because he was in a book that I was reading and it was like totally changed.
Yeah, he's pretty phenomenal. A little bit about him. He actually has a pretty harsh story too, where he was actually trying to kill himself after his wife and whatever, and then he didn't die. He jumped into this cold water and then almost drowned and all this other stuff. But long story short, when he came out of the water almost frozen, right, he felt this feeling of euphoria, right, and newness, right. Then he started doing the ice cold therapy or whatever it is. So,
which works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he's done it to the level with the breathing and everything else. He ran a marathon in the desert with no water. He climbed one of those high peaks, was Appalachian Mountains or whatever, in shorts. Yeah, like barefoot. And didn't get a cold or anything. So he's been able to he's been able to create adrenaline on demand, which kind of baffled medical science because they always thought adrenaline only happened as a part of the parasympathetic nervous system responding to fear. So what they actually did was they injected him with I think it's called, I forget what they call it, like some type of virus or whatever they call it. And he was actually able to fight it off. So then they were like, well, maybe you're just one of those special people that, got an ability. Because top 12 suits were able to do the same thing. Yeah. Right. And so when you actually take ice baths and you get to the point where you can take it, I think it's 49 or 48 degrees or lower. It actually at the bottom of your the top of your bottom of your head and the top of your nervous system, we have what's called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is actually where all your trauma centers are stored in your body. So when you're actually in ice water like that, your parasympathetic nervous system is off the chain, right? So it goes into this like survival mode. Mm-hmm. So if you ever notice when you get nervous, upset, angry, or any of those things like that, your breaths get short. Yeah. When you take a nice deep breaths, the body relaxes, right? So when the short breaths is cortisone and adrenaline pumping. Digestive system shut down, right? But when you're taking deep breaths, serotonin and dopamine. So when you're in the ice water, it actually tricks your brain. It confuses your body, it resets your body because your body is saying, tighten up, get out, danger, danger, danger. Mm-hmm. But you're taking deep breaths and you keep doing it to the point that you learn to relax in the ice water. Yeah. And so your trauma that's stored is reset. And what it teaches you is that just because you're dealing with stress don't mean you have to lose your freaking wig. Right? So anytime you're stressing, anytime you're having a hard time, anytime you're getting angry, anytime you find yourself getting triggered, just take deep breaths.
Yeah.
Take deep.
It's crazy he says that because my little bro in the fraternity, his name's Corey. Shout out to you, Corey. Find him on Instagram. He's does breath work. And how he has you do it is in cold ass water. And he goes through breath work with you through cold water, and he's very much so in tune with himself. Like my little bro story's like insane. His bounce back. Listen, he's rich in my mind because of the shit he went through and where he's at now, as far as like he's centered. And I've seen this kid go from addiction to being shot to dying, like literally just everything. His life going to shambles. And controlling his breathing is what has become the focal point of his resurgence in life. And now he's still one of those people. He has, his ups and downs, but at the same time, he knows what resources to pull out. So he would come stay with me sometimes. And when he would come, I wake up in the morning and I go in the room. He's there, legs crossed, breathing, focusing on his breathing every single morning. And now he teaches that shit. So if you ever get a chance to go out to San Diego, look up Corey. You'll find him. You just type in Corey on my shit. I'll tag him. And it is really something I've been wanting to do because I know breath work is
well, the cool thing that I always thought about with breath work is it's a choice. Like you have to really think about it. What did you say the percentage of the day? 88% you're running on subconscious.
88% of your decision making.
Of your decision. So I mean, in the moment that you choose to work on breath work or to meditate and focus on the way that you're breathing, you're even just making a choice to do something specific and like focus on that. Like the power that your mind has at that moment. It's got to be really cool. The vagus nerve, by the way, is what I was talking about, that your vocal cords, when you sing or when you're screaming, I don't know how they interact with that nerve, but it is that nerve that I was looking into. That's also, again, back to the nutrition, like that, those are tied.
Absolutely. It's mind, body, spirit, and soul is all connected.
Yeah.
So if you, like, for example, have you ever felt like I don't feel like working out, but if you make yourself go work out, you have a great workout. And you're like, man, I'm so glad I did. So when you hear something, it'll affect you emotionally, spiritually, and physically, right? So that's why you have to be conscious of what you're choosing to listen to, right? And then, or vice versa. So at any point, you can take whatever is strongest at the moment and use that to affect the other three, because it's cause and effect. You move one, the other three got to move.
I think when I realized my whole perspective on a lot of things were changed when I realized how important your body was in that mix. I think I grew up in the church and I would believe like, oh, stop and pray. Just pray about it and like focus on your spiritual. But then I think when you're realizing the physical parts and like, okay, my heart is racing right now. Like, wait, what's going on? I need to figure that out. Like, or I'm sick to my stomach. Or honestly, like sometimes, I don't know if this is a thing, but I remember at my most stressed moments, the back of my neck would feel like it was on fire. And I didn't realize that's where the nerve is. I'm going to look into that. But I remember anytime I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like the back of my neck is on fire. I was like, okay, what's happening? Like, am I going through something? Do I need to check in with myself? Am I doing okay? Do I need to like take a break? That was crazy.
Right. Well, different trauma will store itself in the body in different areas. It could be the same thing, but for different people, it'll store in different parts of the body, right? And so the thing is, it's like you have to figure out a way. First of all, be aware of it. Yeah. Right. And then you figure out
how to understand it,
how to release it, because it's an incomplete circuit, and frequency is another huge thing. So there's a gentleman called Dr. Emoto. He was a Japanese psychologist. He's deceased now, but he did this famous, and you can Google it, experiment where he had a petri dish of water. And then he began to play like really harsh sounds, say like really negative, harsh sayings, names, and write stuff down. And they looked at the water, because the water's the most pliable thing, right? It's impacted by its environment more than anything, right? And when they looked at the petri dish, it looked like demonic, like all these bunch of little demons. Right.
Shit.
We took the same petri dish, began to play loving music, sing kind words, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they looked at the same petri dish, and they were individual looking snowflakes. Right. So now think about this. The human body composition is over 70% water.
Oh,
so
shit.
when you're sitting there and you're having all these negative thoughts over and over and over again, when you begin to have these unhealthy behaviors, or you begin to surround yourself by other people, right, who's also bringing that negativity, then you have to be mindful of the music, right? Certain music, certain lyrics. I love rap music. I grew up loving it. I still love rap music. But you know what makes rap music very hard for the individual? The 808 drum. Almost all rap songs utilize that drum.
Mm-hmm.
That drum is on a frequency energetic level. It's one of the worst things you can expose your body to.
Oh, shit.
Right? And so now you're exposed to being open, and unfortunately, with rap, like there's a lot of conscious rap. There's a lot of beautiful rap lyrics, but what are they playing? That's not what they're playing. They're playing the killing.
Yeah.
They're playing the violence. They're playing the she ain't nothing but a hoe. They're playing all these different things while your frequency is open,
wide open
to receive it. And you're wondering why do I, every time I listen to a certain sort of artist, I just want to fuck some shit up, because you're
I'm a gorilla in the
Right.
fucking
Right.
Black Air Force.
So he did another experiment where he had a triangular bell that was 528 hertz, and then his assistant was about 30 feet away from him, who also had a 528 hertz bell, and then his assistant put the bell by the mic. He hit his bell. The assistant's bell rang in the mic.
Is this the same one with the twins? He did another one with the twins? I'm gonna have to look into it.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, sorry. Continue about the ring
So
bell.
the point is that whatever frequency you're on, right, will resonate with other people on that same frequency. There's a book called Life Force, and I can't think of the gentleman's name who wrote it, but they actually break down the frequency of every emotion.
Oh, shit. That's amazing.
And the emotions 200 and below are unhealthy, unproductive emotions.
Yeah, wait, what book is it?
Life Force.
It's called
Life?
Life
I believe it's
Force.
called Life Force. And
Like life or light?
yeah, life. Yeah, I believe it's called Life Force. And if I'll make sure I get it to you so that you have it, and then what's above, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the order, but there's like the highest level, right? So
Not the one by Tony Robbins, right?
no.
Imagine.
Let me think. I'll make sure I'm saying the name right. But the point is that when you're on a certain frequency,
Mm-hmm.
so let's say your frequency is about being shiesty, and everybody that's about being shiesty, y'all resonate, y'all connect, and anybody who's not on that level, on that frequency, you try to bring them to that frequency, or you got to get them away from you, right? But we have the ability to choose what frequency we want to be on. So part of getting to know yourself and loving yourself
Yeah.
is to say, what does it take for me to be in anger, right? Okay, I know what it takes for me to be. What does it take for me to be in happiness, right? Peace. And when you're in anger, you stop, take a deep breath, and go, what do I need? What do I normally do to get into peace? And then you begin to take those steps.
Yeah.
And anger's still going to be there. Those things, and you're not supposed to get rid of them. They're actually good for you,
Yeah.
right? It's like the fire alarm goes off. Nobody want to hit a fire alarm.
Yeah.
People be taking them batteries out, right? But the reason it's going off
Yeah.
is because it's damn fire.
Yeah.
So you put the fire out, the alarm go off, right? So that's what emotions are for. When you get angry or you get triggered, that's your spirit saying, or your emotions saying, hey,
Sums up.
there's something within.
Yeah.
Because we say it's the person,
Yeah.
but it's not the person. It's within. You get rid of it within, you cool. One of my best friends named Scott.
Anger's at 150.
One of my best friends named Scott. I grew up He's a white boy, a big old fat white boy. That was my dude, and we always cussed at each other. Like we always talk shit. And he called me nigga. I called him stuff, but it was just me and him, and I was cool with it, right? Because I knew Scott loved me, had my back. So I went into the Marine Corps, and at that time I didn't have a car. I was in Camp Pendleton. I was like 19 years old. And I just came from the enlisted club, had a few beers, walking back to the barracks in pitch darkness. A truck go by. There's about 4 or 5 white boys in the truck. And they say, "Get out the road, you stupid fucking nigger." And right then I was like, I'm chasing the motherfucking truck. Now, I'm fast, but thank God I ain't that fast. I was running, and halfway through, I started saying to myself, like, what is wrong with you? It's motherfucking almost midnight, after midnight, pitch dark. You chasing a truck full of white guys who called you a nigger? I was triggered. Then I said, well, why? When Scott said it, I'm cool with it. And when they say it, I'm about ready to do whatever. So some people say, well, it's because of their intention, right? But that's not what it is. It's how I framed it within myself. Once I reframe that, I've been called nigger after that. And I've been like, people call me nigger, I go, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for sharing what you think of me. You know? And or sometimes I go, oh, I'm a nigger. I go, do you know the definition of the word nigger? I go, because, you know, even though you're not black, you know, you could be a bigger nigger than I am according to the definition. Right? It's really centered around ignorance, right? And so the fact that you don't even know the word and you use it, right, suggests that you might not be a nigger, but got a little nigger in you, right? Right? So, but it's how you frame it. It's what you tell yourself. It's the story you tell yourself. It's not what happens. It's what you do with what happens.
Yeah, how you perceive
and
it too.
only you got control of that.
And that is the perfect segue into wrapping this up. And today we lost a great soul, I would say. I've been fortunate enough to take his dance class. Stephen Twitch boss, to suicide, and last week we talked about men being able to speak to one another and have conversations. I'm very fortunate that I have men in my life like Sarge, like Don, like Rob, like any of my bros out there that, you know, Norm, Drew, Cam, people I can talk to as a men's group and be able to be vulnerable. But it hits home because as Jenna knows and as Don knows, and I don't know if Sarge knows, you know, when I, you know, coming out of my 2 days of awakeness, when I got arrested and woke up in the hospital and that bender, you know, being told I tried to kill myself, it hit a little bit, you know, hit home because that could have been me leaving my daughter. And, you know, he left his 3 kids. And having your control of your mind is the most admirable thing you could do for yourself and the people in your life, because again, I think that, you know, obviously Sarge doesn't take the brain as fragile. I think there's a very slim line that you're walking that men, especially men in today's society, that can break us. It's very important to me that we seek out help. Do not be too prideful. This didn't just hurt. I know it hurt his family more than I can't even imagine his wife and his kids, but for his energy, I know there's never been a time you pull up on YouTube and see a video of Twitch that doesn't make you smile or laugh. I know anytime you saw my Ellen, it just brought you joy. If you follow him and his wife on TikTok, their dances, their family stuff is just amazing. There's too many of us, especially black men, who are taking their own lives. this has got to stop. It's got to be one of those things. I know we've all had those thoughts. I know we all struggle with something that we don't feel like we can express. Do the work, man.
Yeah.
Never be too prideful to go get help. Do the work. Life is fucking hard enough. And waking up to that news today, I didn't even want to come do this shit today. I'm going to keep it a buck. I didn't want to come in here. Like, I didn't even know bro like that. Like, yeah, we ran in the same circles, whatever, but just the joy I would see. But that is something, it triggered my fraternity brother who had killed himself before. He was always smiling, always happy.
Yeah.
Check on your people, not just your strong friends. Check on everybody. Yeah. And start to just, I think if we allow ourselves to actually see, because a lot of times we're looking, but we're not seeing anymore. Yeah. Allow yourself to see your surroundings and people and just, stop being so consumed in this very just secular motion of just what you see visually, and just actually see through emotions, see through feelings. You can feel, as Sarge said, the energy, the vibrations of other people. Open yourself to that, because it could be the difference between somebody being there tomorrow and not. So again, rest in peace, man. This one hit tough. We've lost a lot of fucking people this year. A lot of people. And over just shit that just to me doesn't just make sense, and that's why I'm glad Sarge came in. I didn't even know where this was going to go today. All the gems you spit, I can't wait to have you back on again and talk more.
Yeah.
This for me is one of my favorites, because there's shit you said that I didn't even fucking know that's changing me. Like, yo, I gotta look myself in the mirror. I look myself in the mirror, but I gotta look deeper. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm looking, but I don't know if I'm seeing yet. And I think this is one of them episodes that's going to help me see a little bit further, because I've been feeling like I'm on the precipice of getting to that next step. I feel myself fighting against that subconscious mind that's trying to deter me from where I need to get to. Me and Don have talked about this all year, that we're there. I can taste it. I feel it. I feel everything that's happened in my life is prepping me that you're about to have that breakthrough. Right. Like you saying, I want to go make millions, nigga, how? You know what I'm saying? Like that whole concept. But for me, if nothing else, I've said this before to all you out there, if you need help, I don't care if I don't fucking know you. Mm-hmm. DM me, bro. Yeah. Like, life is too short. If I can help, if I can give a word of encouragement, if you just need somebody to listen, DM me. Comment to us on YouTube, on the gram, anything. And just look out for your people. And just understand, when you leave, you're hurting the people here more than you can ever comprehend. I've had to live with that multiple times now. Like in my life, I've gone through people taking their own lives, and me left to feel that, what could I have done better? Mm-hmm. So just remember, there's people out there that love you. There's people out there that you may not have known for one day that I sit up here and listen to you when you need to be listened to. That might be your best friend. You don't know. So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming today, Sarge. Let people know where they can find you at, like your website and all that. Do you know what?
Yeah, my website is focus, 2 hypnosis.com. And all my contact information is there, and there's a whole spill on what hypnosis is, what it isn't, and stuff like that.
Do you know your Instagram handle?
I'm an old head. I still need work from some of y'all young bucks to get me up on par with that, I finally got a website, you know what I'm saying? So
let me see if I can find
that. It's a work in progress, but that I definitely will get that done. And start the new year off right. And I just want to echo what he's saying is get support. If you think of athletes and you think of some of the best I ever played, and they'll argue about who was the best ever, right? But the one thing they all had in common, right, ever since they started playing ball, was that they had a coach. Yeah. They had a coach. Yeah. Even Michael Jordan had a coach.
Facts.
And why is that? Right, because a coach is able to see when you're out of form. The coach is able to make you focus, motivate you, support you, but also give you tools that while they might feel a little funny when you're doing it, you'll see the improvement down the line. Yeah. And it's the same thing with mental health, right? Mental wellness. Most of us, as I said earlier, the coaches we had, because you can have a good coach and bad coach, right? Most of the people that were our coaches, they didn't even know how to take care of themselves. And they taught us how to take care of ourselves. So find you someone that you resonate with, that you have a rapport with, right? And who know what they're doing when it comes to mental wellness, that they can give you the tools that you can practice, right? And develop it. Because then it becomes habit.
Yeah.
Then it becomes habit. And when it becomes habit, you become healthy. Get your coach.
Man. I will find out what his Instagram is, and it'll be up on here, right here, somewhere, wherever Don's going to put it. Wherever he decides to put it.
Right in your face.
Yeah.
There it goes. Yeah, again, man. Don, you got anything to say about Twitch?
And just rest in peace, man. Condolences to his family and everyone who loved him, man. You know?
No, I mean, again, a lot of people we've worked with knew him very well. And so seeing that hurt today on my timeline was insane. Yeah, but again, you guys can find Don City at Don City.
Yes, sir.
Or The Real Tico.
Yep.
Or the V8 Network.
V8 Network.
Or Whiskey Words and Wisdom. At Whiskey Words and Wisdom. And then Jenna at Jenna K. Norman. .K. Norman.
Yep.
Yeah. Or Jenna Photography something.
Just Jenna.K. Norman. It's all on there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can see her
They're all included.
acting up. But yeah, we appreciate you guys once again allowing us into your homes, into your minds. Hey, check them frequencies, because I for sure am about to start listening to what I'm listening to with them 808s, because I didn't even think about that. And I wonder why 808s and heartbreaks used to make me feel some type of way.
I was literally thinking the same
I
thing.
be listening to jazz music.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when I listen to Coltrane and things like that, I'm good. Like when I go hear my cousin play his violin, that's another story for another time.
Charlie Brown Christmas on repeat right now.
Bro, I mean, there's just something feel, bro. It's about that time I'm about to put on my Mariah Carey Christmas music. I'm definitely gonna watch this Christmas. I might watch this Christmas tonight because I've been a little depressed.
Right.
Express yourself.
Facts. Oh yeah, and remember, the opposite of depression is expression. Start expressing yourself. But yeah, again, thank you guys. Sarge, man, thank you, man.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was really great.
I appreciate it.
That was so good.
Yeah. And we out, y'all. We see y'all next week. Yeah.
Peace.